Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's 15 days until Election Day, and this is your countdown. Again, welcome and welcome, Dara. I'm here with Dara Monifah Cooper, and I'll introduce her to you in a minute. But first things first. So in the next 2 weeks leading up to Election Day, we're going to go from Monday through Thursday with this particular show. It's called Decision 2018 Countdown. And what we're going to do is invite various community leaders and experts into the studio to just come in and just look at how this election is going in its last stretch. So just like Dara here, we'll have different speakers every day from Monday through Thursday, and they'll be talking about various issues and topics pertinent to the election. Now today, Dara's unique set of experiences will allow us to tackle 3 issues: student and youth engagement, agriculture, as well as the use of social media in driving this particular election. Now before we move forward, let me just tell you a little bit about Dara. Dara Monifah Cooper is a small business owner. She owns DaraMonifah.com. It's an internet and multimedia marketing company. She's also a new media expert. She got her master's in new media journalism at Full Sail University. She also got her bachelor's degree in communication at the University of the Virgin Islands. Now she's very active in the community, and she's focused mainly on youth education, culture, and the arts. She's also seen all around town with a camera, documenting and streaming live of various events, as well as teaching young people how to do it themselves. Now, Dara also teaches communication at UVI. She teaches communication classes, public speaking and radio production, and she's also the station manager at WUVI, the college radio station manned entirely by UVI students. Dara is also a communication specialist. She works for UVI Cooperative Extension Services, and we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But these are the things that make Dara the perfect person to talk about these topics. We're going to talk about youth engagement, agriculture, as well as the use of social media in driving this election. Now, first things first, at the top of our list is youth engagement. Now, Dara, you work with young people a lot, and not just the younger ones, but the ones that are also at that age where they can actually come out and participate in the political process if they wanted to, and even some of them can already vote if they wanted to. Now, my question to you is, in your interactions with these young people, what is your sense of how engaged they are and how encouraged they are to step out and talk about issues pertaining to the election, or actually get involved in the election itself?
And like some people say, young people a lot of times are seemingly disconnected from the whole realm of politics, but you'd be surprised. They're more and more becoming interested, especially when we focus on subject matter that hits home for them. You know, so I would say that yes, some of the students at UVI and even some of the students in the high schools and junior highs, they're starting to pay attention a little bit more, definitely.
And what are those issues that actually draw their attention or make them, stand up and say, hey, I want to learn more about that?
Well, of course, anything related to education, because the majority of them are in school, whether they're in our public school system, private parochial, or at UVI. And so anything having to do with education and how it's going to impact their lives, anything having to do with recreation, sports, the entertainment, carnival, anything like that, young people are really interested in, and they're paying attention to those who are talking about and making changes in those areas.
Now, what do you think it will take to get more young people involved? Especially nowadays, we see a lot of ads by candidates in social media, and they're targeting these different demographics because Facebook ads allow them to do that, as well as other platforms. What do you think they can do to draw out young people, not the ones that are already in their campaigns and supporting them specifically, but just young people in general, to get them to get out and vote, or maybe just get involved?
And of course you got to start early. So I would say that the example that I've seen, and what I tend to use a lot, is positive peer pressure, where For Sankofa Saturdays Incorporated, which is the youth program that you mentioned earlier, that I teach youth how to do multimedia and technology to cover a number of variety of subjects: culture, arts, agriculture, environment, politics now. If you give them the tools, whether it's a phone or a tablet, camera, and allow them to entertain themselves by using them, because they're going to use them anyway.
Right.
If you control the content, and in this case we're talking about politics, they have to start listening. They have to start being around it. So it naturally happens so that as they're having fun just producing things, they're paying attention to the content and becoming more and more interested. So that's one thing that I would say. Get them behind the cameras, get them on the recorders, get them using their phones to document and share things on social media. That's definitely one way that's worked.
Now recently I saw you on social media just talking about how you registered, I believe, and encouraged people to go out and register to vote. Now we're going to show that video in a little while, but before we do, tell us a little more about it. What is the context of this video?
Well, the context of it is that I knew that registration was going to happen in Emancipation Garden, and so I intended to go there with my phone and go ahead and show people how simple the process was, as setting an example for the students and other people in terms of how simple it is. So that's pretty much what I did in terms of registering to vote. I registered to vote live, and I also went and used the 2 different machines and then went around and spoke to some people as well.
Wonderful. Let's take a look.
So we're going to do the last little walk around, see who's left before I go ahead. I went ahead and registered to vote again. So you know where we're at, Emancipation Garden. Come register yourself to vote, or if you're registered, encourage someone else to come down and vote. Every election year is an election year that's important, but let's go ahead and see what we can do for this one. National Voter Registration Day here in the United Virgin Islands. On St. Thomas, we're here at Emancipation Garden. They will be here registering folks until 6 p.m. On St. Croix, they are at the amphitheater, Sunny Isles. And tomorrow on St. John in the 12 ballpark. Okay? So, come on down. It's an easy process.
There you go. Now, did you get a lot of response from that video?
Yeah, especially from the students who, are paying attention on social media, which a lot of them, that's where they are paying attention. So I use it for school as well. And they actually did go out and register to vote, and I know that some of them have already done early voting.
Wonderful. Now stick around, we'll be back with more from Dara Cooper, and we'll be talking about agriculture and the use of social media in the election. Stick around, this is Decision 2018 Countdown. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Decision 2018 Countdown. 15 days to go until the election. Today we have Dara Monifah Cooper with us, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her experience working with farmers in the territory and how that relates to candidates. Now, Dara, at the last gubernatorial forum that I attended, which was one at UVI, we had 3 candidates. Now, that doesn't represent all 7, but when candidates were asked by the audience if their platforms included comprehensive land and water use, all of them said no, officially, but that they do care about that issue. And one candidate even said that he doesn't think it's a driving force in the economy, but he likes it, and he will support ideas that support local agriculture. Now, what do you think are the disconnects between what candidates are saying about what agriculture means to them and the territory, and what farmers have talked to you about? And talk about like how you came back. I believe you came back and you engaged farmers in the Bordeaux community.
Right. When I returned home in 2002, the first group of people that I engaged the most and I was around the most because of my brother Askanaya was the farmers over in Bordeaux in the We Grow Food Inc. Organization. And he brought me there because he thought that they could make use of multimedia and PR and technology. So I started teaching them and listening to some of what their needs are. just as an individual, because at the time I was homeschooling, running my own business, and I wasn't doing anything else. And what I hear the most from them is water supply, a constant and dependable source of water. That's like the biggest one that you'll hear all of them. And there's some other things too. So eventually, a couple of years later, I started doing graphic design as a student, attending UVI with the Cooperative Extension Service Office. And so I got to see from a different angle how the support of agriculture and other things takes place there and with the Department of Agriculture. So I know that the candidates or the aspirants, they really need to pay attention to just going out there and listening to the farmers and hearing what some of their concerns are. They're going to hear some things repeated, or even like at the Ag Fair that's coming up at the end of November, they're going to hear and see what's missing. So that's a really great way for them to get more information.
Now, your job at Cooperative Extension Services allows you to interact with these farmers, and not just interact with them, but also train them in the use of mobile devices and social media to help support their businesses. Talk a little more about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I started, like I said, I was running my business before I started with Extension Service as a student at UVI, and I've been there ever since with them. That was in 2004, and so Extension Service is all about agriculture and natural resources. And then we spoke about youth, 4-H, youth development. All of this stuff is tied into the farmers because they have young people as well. And then their spouses, they need the family and consumer sciences part of it too. It's all related. The main area I'm in with Extension is communications, technology, and distance learning. And in that area, some of what I do in terms of PR and updating their website and social media is teaching the farmers how to use things like their phones and mobile devices, whether it's a tablet or whatever, how to better document what they have going on their farms, and how to better market for more direct marketing to potential and current customers. So it's been useful in getting them to kind of get out of their shell of just being on the farm and then just selling at the markets.
So what do? They take pictures of their products and post it?
Yeah, pretty much they have Facebook pages now. I started the We Grow Food Facebook page as an example, and they basically take their phones, know how to take pictures of their different produce or their process, because sometimes that's part of it too. And then they post it on social media or through email or even using text messages as well.
And they've been getting responses out of that?
Oh, definitely. It's made a big difference. So all of them now are getting more into doing it that way.
Now, this sounds like something that could be turned into an actual government-supported program. Would you say you recommend it as part of candidates' platforms, for example, to modernize how farmers in the territory kind of conduct business?
I'm sure there are lots of things that the government can do in addition to what we already do at Extension Service and what the department does to better support what the farmers' needs are and help to promote what they're doing, not only when it's time to sell, but even all along the way. I know we're working on a fundraiser currently for farmers as well as other people who are doing the same, but government can definitely support in other ways. I mean, we could use some more support with helping us to be able to teach them more. So we're already in the position, it's just more support is needed.
Now, after the hurricanes, a lot of the farmers also stepped out and said that even though they applied for much needed grants, and I think this also ties into, using technology themselves and being able to monitor progress on like grant applications. A lot of them said that they would submit grants through the local Department of Agriculture but never heard back from them, at least not within the time that it still matters. Is that something that we also should probably be working on?
Well, I think, and I think since then things have improved somewhat, because I know that even there was a grant with the Red Cross that we've had farmers come in and we assist them with the applications, because a lot of times it's just small bits of information or things that are missing or lacking, or even like, again, with using their mobile phones, some of them didn't have pictures of what their farms and places looked like before the storm, but those who were in the classes before the storm did. So it just depends on what the needs are, but we're always willing to continue to support by even just bringing them in and helping them, like I said, through those processes, whether it's a grant or an application or whatever.
Now, how much does agriculture matter, would you say? Because the thing with the Virgin Islands is that we have very little tracts of land for agriculture, and that's what's different between us and the mainland. We're working on a really small scale. Do you think that it's still worth it for candidates to push agriculture in their platforms?
Well, me being where I have been around the farmers, I'm definitely going to say yes. It's important. If you think about what happened after the storm, I don't think we want to get stuck eating Skittles and Tootsie Rolls and things like that. There are things that can be done. There's enough land for everybody to do something in their own home, in their home garden, in their school, around their office. There's definitely a lot of land on St. Croix, but in the hillside and in Bordeaux, there's also enough.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dara. So this is Decision 2018 Countdown. We'll be right back with more with Dara Monifah Cooper. Welcome back. You're watching Decision 2018 Countdown. We're here with Dara Monifah Cooper, and she's talking to us in this particular section about her experiences studying new media journalism and the rise of social media in driving not only the election, but pretty much everything, everywhere. Facebook has billions of users now, I believe, and that's a major factor in how candidates and businesses and people who have certain interests to put out to people and how they deal with dispensing information. Now let's talk a little bit about new media journalism. What is that about?
New media journalism, in short form, is just a combination of multimedia journalism. So you have writing, you have photography, videography, using audio, social media, blogging, and putting it all together in a way that people can use their phones to just totally be a freelance journalist and go around. Now, there's a right way and there's a not exactly politically the correct way of doing things, but what I studied at Full Sail University was all of the best practices and everything with how to do it in an appropriate way.
And what are your observations of what the trends are like down here? We can say that it's the use of social media by campaigning or campaigns are increasing.
Yes, definitely. Especially after the storm, and I'll speak a little bit about before the storm, but especially after the storm, people realized, and some people were kind of shocked that social media was kind of like number two right under radio. We're an oral tradition community, so everybody knew radio would be boss, but no one expected that social media would come up. And with the addition of all of the free Wi-Fi spots that were around the islands, it made it even more so that Facebook especially was being utilized so much. At WUVI, the students there for years have been using social media along with doing radio interviews. So it's something that now more and more people are doing. Government agencies, individuals, all sorts of people are using Facebook in addition to whatever else they were doing because it's reaching such a wide audience.
And it's uncanny, this ability for them to specifically target people of a certain age range and living in particular places, you know, particular genders, particular interests because of targeted ads. And that's what we're seeing right now, right?
Yeah, and we had a whole 2 courses about that in school. There's a science to it. Some people think that you just post up a picture and it's going to be able to go everywhere. And no, you have to understand the background, the marketing, how to do the targeting so that it gets to the people that you really need, whether it's young people, old people. Like there's a lot of mass emailing going on for all of the political aspirants. And that's one way of doing things. But it's kind of intrusive, you know, and they don't ask permission. So social media,
how did you get my email?
That's always one of the questions that comes up. Facebook, a lot of people are using Facebook. They're not using Instagram as much unless they're a little bit younger, I noticed. But if they want to get more of the younger crowd, they would want to kind of add Instagram. So there's some best practices and things that I'm noticing. I'm glad it's being used more because my biggest push is the positive uses of social media as opposed to the negative.
Let's talk about the negative uses. In addition to paid ads, where you see professionally created videos espousing the platforms of different candidates, you also see very destructive memes targeting specific candidates for something they said, for a campaign rally that didn't end well because there was a lot of trash left behind, which is deplorable, a deplorable aspect in itself, but also for things like their gender, their religious beliefs, things like that can get very petty on a certain level.
And these are things that we're told to not focus on so much. You know, we don't do the yellow journalism. Again, the students at WUVI, they're learning how to just report the information and report it as quickly as they can on as many platforms as they can at the same time. And so there was just an image up about the students who were there, you know, airing live and streaming online the political forums. And again, that's another way that they were able to learn more about who's aspiring to become whatever it is in these different offices. So there are ways to do things, and there are positive ways to get them done, and that's really what I kind of focus more on, the positive ways of getting things done and being productive.
Right. When I, personally, when I see memes on my Facebook page, I immediately put alarms up, you know, like I look at the content and I always ask, where did this come from? And there was no source cited, then you immediately kind of put it to the side because you have no way of knowing if it's true or not. But even so, these are very provocative, and they gain a lot of traction and they get shared a lot more than, say, the legitimate positive posts. Would you say they're effective in that way, or would you say that they're destructive? And
they're effective in getting out there, but they are destructive in terms of people having a better understanding of what the tool can be used for. Social media is just a tool, just like a phone or anything else. So if you're going to use it, you're the one that determines what it's going to be used for. Like the forwards that go out a lot, people get it, forward this so that people can be warned that your profile is being duplicated. And a lot of times those cause more challenges in stifling the system of Facebook than they're actually true. And so I usually do some research on if there's really a threat. Lately there wasn't a threat, but it was getting forwarded all over the place, and put up the links that show the sources that tell people there isn't really a threat, but if you're concerned, this is what you can do. Change your password every so often, that type of thing.
Well, okay, Dara, I would love to keep talking to you about this, but that's pretty much our show for tonight. I'm going to give you a chance to just talk to our audience and tell them whatever you want.
Okay, sure. As April mentioned, I'm homegrown here from St. Thomas, and literally a university, the Virgin Islands, baby born and raised right there. And the main thing that I want to be able to do, whether it's working at UVI or just being out in the community with Sankofa Saturdays or through my business, is help people to continue learning how to document ourselves and share positively as a better influence and example for the youth and young people to do the same.
So do that, not the other thing.
Yes, please.
Dara Monifah Cooper, daramonifah.com. And that's it for our show tonight, Decision 2018 Countdown. We're going to have more for you throughout the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll have different guests coming in. So make sure you tune in. Follow us on Facebook at News2VI, Instagram at TV2USVI. Send us a message on Messenger, or send us an email at newsdirector@tv2.com. TV2VI.vi. So thank you for that, Dara, and thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.